Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Morganino Podcasting Network. My name is Rod Morgan. I will be your host here on Balls and Brew. That's what we're doing. A sports podcast here on the Morganino Podcasting Network. Jimmy Jamriska, he is here. Jimmy, hello.
Hello, Rod.
Jimmy, you will be producing this podcast. You produce every podcast here on the network, as well as host a couple of shows. You will show those chops here in just a second, but let me introduce the gentleman on the bottom of the screen for you folks watching us live on Facebook now or on Twitter or watching this later. It's Chris King. Chris, hello.
I'm going to tell you guys something. I am an old man, and I cannot handle games like Game 1 in the Eastern Conference Finals very much, all right?
We will talk about Game 1 and Game 2 in the Eastern Conference Finals and maybe even a little bit of the Western Conference Finals here in just a second when Jimmy Jamriska runs us on the fast break. But we are, of course, going to start where everyone has started in the world of the NFL. We are talking Chiefs place kicker Harris. No, we're absolutely not doing that. We're going to the fast break right now. Jimmy, let's go.
Well, welcome to the Fast Break, the fastest 15 minutes in the NBA. If you are a Pacers fan, if you are a Celtics fan, or those Western Conference teams too, throw something in the chat. We definitely want to hear your feedback, how the refs stole this game again from the Pacers. Chris King, I have a question for you. If Tyrese Halliburton is out in Game 3, which he's got that hammy going in Game 2, is that a good thing or a bad thing for Indiana?
I mean,
you had to think about it.
I think that Indiana can win or lose with Halliburton on the court right now. I think that it is a plus if he is healthy for us. I still think even if he's not there, we can still win these games at home.
Okay, Rod, I got a question for you. How many Jaylen Brown can't dribble comments were made today?
That's very true. I have been quite critical of Mr. Brown in the past, and he has made me look foolish this year. I think this is possibly his greatest season actually as a Celtic, and he didn't make the All NBA team. So I don't know if that speaks to a hatred towards Jaylen Brown or more to just the talent across the league. I think it's probably more the latter than anybody actually hating on Jaylen Brown. But he showed up tonight early, right? The other Jason Tatum didn't quite have it. He was missing some shots early, and Jaylen was taking it to the rack often. And I got to give the guy credit. He was really, really good. And no, you're right. I was not talking about how he can't dribble, which I'm not entirely sure that we would give him an award for best handle at this point. But I was not making any cracks this evening, Jimmy. You're correct.
No, I believe it's 35 or 6 or however many points they ended up with tonight. Kind of are shutting some people down. The big shot he hit in Game 1 as well. Listen, the Celtics are kind of hitting their stride right now, and they do not have Kristaps Porzingis, and they may not need him for another week and a half anyway, just because of how well they're going against the Pacers here. Chris, I know you have watched every single second of every single game in the playoffs for the Pacers. Good news, they're still running. They're still getting points as quickly as they can. Bad news is they cannot play defense. Is there any shot that the Pacers come back and win Game 3 at home?
Yeah, I think it is. I don't think they need to change that much from what they were successful at in Game 1. All right, the Pacers cannot rely on their defense. It's not that good. What
Correct.
They can't do is fail to score in the paint, and they did not score in the paint in Game 2. Game 1, they did. They outscored Boston in the paint. Game 2, they got outscored by over 20 points. We need those fast break buckets in the paint or however else we need to get them, but we need to score in the paint to slow down, especially a team like Boston, their transition offense after a basket, which we saw tonight was phenomenal.
Rod, as a Celtics fan, you've got to be pretty happy holding the Pacers to only 110 points.
Yeah, early on, I wouldn't have guessed that they would get stopped at 110, right? Like they were scoring early. I thought the Celtics were really putting them down again, much like Game 1, and the Pacers just kept fighting back, right? Pascal Siakam, I don't know how many times I've seen Pascal Siakam hit a fadeaway jump shot near the free throw line somewhere in the lane, but
his gimmick.
Every time he takes one, he absolutely buries it. So shout out to him. He was keeping the Pacers in there, and I don't know what it is with Halliburton. I mean, actually, I do. I have a theory, but like I have Jimmy. This series is tough for me. Okay, I don't really wish harm upon the Pacers. I don't, but unfortunately, they're taking on my number one favorite team, which are the Celtics, right? So like, I have an absolute theory about Halliburton, but like, I don't want to come across as like a hater during the series. So like, I'm trying to walk a fine line here, Jimmy. I don't want to alienate the majority of our viewers, and God bless all, however many we have this evening. But because there's more Pacer fans out there than Celtics fans, I just happen to be a Celtics fan. That's the way
Of those watching right now, please throw in your comments. What do you think Rod's take on Halliburton is? We'd love to hear that. And also, what can the Pacers do to kind of come back in the series? I can tell you what they. By the way, I did short Jaylen Brown. He did end up with 40 points today. 23 for Derek White, 23 for Tatum. Chris King, Siakam. First of all, he's going to get paid. He's going to get paid a lot of money. 28 points. He's the one who should have taken that last shot in game one. No question about it. Halliburton should not have done that at the end of regulation. I don't see how Miles Turner goes a whole half without scoring against the Celtics, Chris.
Yeah, that was when I first saw that stat. That was even halfway through the second quarter that he hadn't scored yet. He had 13 minutes, 0 points, 3 fouls. All right. That is unacceptable for Turner in an Eastern Conference Finals playoff game. It's just unacceptable. You can't have that from your starting center, not against a team like Boston, because we don't have interior defense at all. So when one of our biggest guys gets into foul trouble without contributing at all on the offensive end, it is a detriment to the team.
Rod, you got to be pretty happy. And, congratulations on these first 2 wins. The series doesn't start until someone loses at home. We'll see if that Pacers trend continues of playing well at home in the playoffs. But Rod, you got to be pretty happy right now.
If you were to give me a choice of the Celtics only losing 2 games so far in the Eastern Conference playoffs, I absolutely would take that. So yes, I'm happy with where it is. I certainly will not count the Pacers out. I was somebody who did not think the Pacers would win game 6 and 7 to come back and beat the Knicks. So you certainly cannot count this team out. It's going to be a tough blow if Tyrese Halliburton is out, but I think Tyrese accomplished his goal already this year. So it's okay. It's okay if Tyrese is out and the Pacers lose this, because what was important to Tyrese was accomplished for Tyrese. So congratulations for him and future generations of the Halliburton family.
So can I guess what your take might be? I think, didn't we already talk about this? He should have sat out a couple more weeks in the regular season to prepare himself for the playoffs, especially knowing what we do now, how far the Pacers have gone. He probably would have been a little bit more nimble, dribbled a little bit better, made some better decisions instead of still nursing that hamstring, because he did want to get all NBA status, and he did. I mean, he got paid a ton of money, Rod, or he will get paid a ton of money.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, that's what I mean. There's no right or wrong decision here, right? Like we live in the land of capitalism, baby. This is Donald Trump's America. Like, let's go, right? So congratulations to Tyrese for making his $41 million, and the way that they have set up the system in the NBA, unfortunately, is that he had to do it that way. So, you know what I mean? But to me, it's clear, right? To me, it's clear. You have 2 choices. Neither one of them is right. Neither one of them is wrong, but you can sit out and not make an all NBA and not get that bonus and possibly be healthy and ready and firing on all cylinders and looking like you did at the beginning of the year for the Pacers. And how would that look for him right now? Or you can be where you're at. Neither one is right or wrong, but I think it's clear what the decision to ultimately the important goal was.
Chris, I think Rod did a good job there of not being a hater on Tyrese. I actually kind of would have gone a little harder, I think, because obviously you need to do what's best for you and your family. That's what you have to do first. But Rod does bring up a good point, I think.
What's a player supposed to do in today's NBA, though? Sit out longer, be called soft, be called not a team player, be called not strong enough to play in yesterday's NBA. We hear that all the time. What are these players supposed to do? Like, okay, I get it. There's not a right or wrong reason, but we're still coming down on Halliburton for this situation because we as fans are selfish about this. We want our team to be better, and we think with hindsight that if he would have sat out more, he would be better right now. We have no way of knowing that. What he did know is due to NBA rules, he had to play those 65 games in order to have a chance at getting all NBA or be in any kind of running for a end of the year award, which NBA has made it apparent that they want guys to play these games. So the NBA got what they wanted, and Halliburton's getting what he wanted. The only people that aren't really happy are us fans who have hindsight.
Well, I don't know if it's quite hindsight. It's an interesting thought. And it's an interesting theory. What would have happened? But again, would the Pacers have won any of those games that he sat out to? There's a lot to think about there.
We're in the Eastern Conference Finals, Pacers fans. We need to be freaking excited and happy. Everybody wrote us off even before the Knicks series began. No one picked us to win that series. We need to be excited and happy and not pitching a fit because Halliburton is hurt again or whatever else may be happening. We need to be excited and reveling in this moment.
I agree with that. It's been a terrific season, and we'll see what happens moving forward. Season's not over yet. I mean, we've seen this before, so the Pacers can still do it there. And Rod, your Celtics have seen this before as well. So I think there's two different fan bases going, "Oh no, it's not over yet," and "Oh no, it's not over yet." I like that a lot. Dallas and Minnesota. That Minnesota-Denver series, that the winner of that is going to the finals, is basically the champion. They forgot about two people. I believe the name is Luka, and is it Kyrie Irving, I believe, is Rod Morgan's favorite player. I cannot wait until you're sporting the Kyrie Dallas jersey or the shirt with the caricatures on it of the Dallas Mavericks winning the have to, right?
Yeah, no, I was waxing philosophic with you before we started taping here for the people about how I have decided this year to swallow my pride and praise Kyrie and say that I was wrong. And then, of course, my comeuppance for that would be Kyrie making it to the NBA Finals and beating the Boston Celtics, a team that he did, that frankly started the crazy 5-year sojourn that was Kyrie Irving's NBA career. Basically started with that trade from Cleveland to Boston, and then there was some sage, I believe, that got burned, and there was a stomping on the Celtics logo, and then there was all the craziness in New Jersey, and now we're in Dallas, and everybody has their arms around Kyrie again. And if he beats my Celtics, I will absolutely blow a gasket.
Chris, it looks like Ant Edwards was maybe a little tired there. Anthony Town, 6 of 20, 6 of 16. Those weren't the best. Are you nervous that the Timberwolves might have just gotten a little too anxious and maybe they'll kind of be brought down to where they need to be now?
Well, you have a situation that we've seen a lot of. You have somebody at the top of the ladder, right? And then you have teams built to beat that team. Like the Wolves were built kind of to beat the Nuggets.
Yeah.
Well, the Dallas Mavericks are not the Nuggets, and it's a completely different animal. And I think you forgot two players on this Dallas Mavericks team that really need some love, and that would be PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford. Since they came over in the trade deadline, the defense that Dallas has played has been phenomenally better.
Derek Lively, too, 11 rebounds last game, and he's, for a rookie, what a steal he was. And again, Rod, decisions were made by Dallas last year. They could have tried to win or they could have tried to lose. They chose to try to lose. And what do they have? They have Derek Lively. They're in the Western Conference Finals right now.
Jimmy, I don't appreciate what you're trying to do right now. I don't appreciate the conversation that you're trying to stir up between me and the gentleman below me right now on the podcast. All right. I don't think that there's any reason why we need to even go down that angle. So I will not deign your question with an answer, my friend.
All right, let's talk All NBA. I think All NBA is a really cool discussion to have, especially this year with all the talent and all of the positionless voting. For those of you not familiar, All NBA, we had the first team: Giannis, Luka, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jokic, and Tatum was first team. Second team: Brunson, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Anthony Edwards, Kawhi Leonard. And then third team, and we'll get back to the first team here in a second: Devin Booker, Steph Curry, Tyrese Halliburton, LeBron James, and Domantas Sabonis. So really, guys, it looks like they kind of stayed in mostly the position by position instead of going positionless. There was like a 4-guard in there somewhere. But Rod, how do you think the voting went overall? And then your first team, did you think that they got the first team right?
Your first team, all under the age of 30. Gets a little older on the second and third teams, right? Some of our stars of old there, your Kevin Durant's, your LeBron James, your Steph Curry's, your Kawhi Leonard's, they're there on the second and third teams, but the first team all under 30, and 11 of the 15 from the Western Conference. So we just spent a whole lot of time talking about the Eastern Conference, and then we buzzed over the West, and that's probably not the way it should be. But hey, we got East Coast bias here in the
Yes, we
in the
do.
Midwest. And I'm gonna ask a question to Chris, and I think this is gonna be dangerous, but Chris, do you by chance have a vote? Because it seems, I don't know how much you guys follow all the reporting on the voting, but it seems as if someone gave Domantas Sabonis a number one vote in basically every category. He had a vote to first team all defense. He had a vote for all defensive player of the year. He had a vote for MVP. He ended up cracking the third team. I mean, like somebody gave Domantas Sabonis votes all across the board, Chris, and I'm wondering if it was you.
You know, there's a lot of things you don't know about me, Rod, and I'll probably stay that way for a while. I will say one thing that I had a question about this All NBA squad. Do we think that Leonard got a little bit more push just because he stayed healthy?
Yeah, 100%. Because he is considered one of the best basketball players when he is on the floor. And remember, when these votes are cast, they're cast
Okay.
before the playoffs.
But did he
So-
prove that during the season? I get he
Yeah.
had a good. I think he had a good season. Second team All NBA, good. I mean, you're
Yeah,
talking
yes.
about you're talking about some guys that's on that third team that's pretty good. I don't know. That was about my only issue. I thought Leonard was too high.
Okay,
I would've-
that's fine, Chris. But when you so if you think Leonard is too high, who are you putting above Leonard on that second team?
I would put Devin Booker ahead of Leonard.
Okay.
And the only reason I would put that is because Booker has people on his team that sometimes feel like they should be the center of attention when it's definitely Booker is the talent of the Suns, if you ask me.
You mean Kevin Durant, a guy who was on the second team All NBA ahead of Devin Booker? Is that who you were maybe mentioning there, Chris?
Kevin Durant has no soul. He's a heartless player. I don't
Whoa!
even see him as an NBA guy. I don't know why we continue to have a conversation about how great this guy is when
Holy cow!
I think he
All right,
phones it in
but
most
yet,
of the time.
you didn't say anything about him being on the second team, the man with no soul.
he-
Hey, if you're watching or listening right now and you think Kevin Durant has a soul, please put a comment in the chat. Tweet us, whatever you want to do. No soul, Kevin Durant. Rod, anybody on that second team that you think might have had to gone down a little bit?
Here's the thing, right? I think about it kind of philosophically, right? Because
Okay.
there's just so many different ways that you can parse out players, right? And it gets tough to have any iron and concrete rules that you can stretch from year to year, right? But like 2 Lakers made this list, right? And as much
They
as I
did.
love the Lakers, they were a play-in team, and only 1 Celtic made offense and the best record in the league. You know what I mean? So it's just like,
Can you
I
please
get what you're saying.
put your shirt up a little bit? We can't
No,
see the
no.
entire Boston
Right.
word.
I would say Boston has a more complete team than LA does. LA
they
has
do.
those 2 players.
That's a great comment.
We
Chris.
have
Yes, we do.
seen Boston play a whole lot better than what LA has. I know Boston has the two J's, but like they are so much more than that. And I think Al Horford and Derek White would want to have a conversation with you if you try to say that it's all Jalen and Tatum.
Okay, well, I'll take off my green glasses then and just say, like, how about the Oklahoma City Thunder then, right? We only see Shea Gilgeous-Alexander represented there, you know what I mean? And they had themselves an absolutely great season. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I love LeBron. I don't want to be seen as I'm coming out against him. And Anthony Davis had one of the best seasons since he was a New Orleans Pelican. So, I mean, he probably deserved to be there, but it's just, and then the Suns were just an icky team all year long. It's just like all NBA to me, I guess what my point is here really is more about just individual greatness, and I shouldn't attach any team kind of stuff to it. That's more for MVP and for other awards, I think.
It is strange that both Jalen Brunson and Anthony Edwards made that second team. Obviously, they did very good, but I think their playoff run has even heightened that. And I think that's a really good for the league to have those 2 people in there as well. That third team with Booker and Halliburton, they received the lowest of the votes that got in 75 and 70. But Sabonis had 105 votes, so that one first place vote really didn't do much. He was going to get it in anyway. And I
But
think
come
a lot
on,
of people
though.
didn't
That
think he
guy's
was
that guy's
going
got to
to.
be outed. That guy or gal, excuse me, guy or gal, because it could be
Agreed.
You know what I
Agreed.
mean?
Could be
That
anybody.
person's got to be outed.
Yep. 100%. I think that should. But let's look at those who didn't get in. Rod, you mentioned Jaylen Brown. Would you put Jaylen Brown over Booker or Halliburton?
Probably not, right? Probably not. I mean, I must admit a little bit of ignorance here. I just found Phoenix abhorrent at times, so I didn't watch a lot of their games. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
all I would be speaking to off of Devin Booker is just stats, and I know that like he put up, but then also he was injured, right? Would be maybe the one say where I would say, all right, let me go with Jaylen Brown because Jaylen was kind of an Iron Man, played an awful lot of games for the Celtics this year, and Devin Brown was battling injury. Devin Booker.
But all of them, seriously. I think that the money that Tyrese Halliburton earned from his position had a lot of influence on the voters in this one, because as someone who loves Tyrese Halliburton, my son has his jersey, thinks he's the greatest thing ever. That last 4 or 5 months was not all NBA. It really was not. And Chris, I'm going to get to you in a second. I will for sure. I think a Jaylen Brown, a Paul George, even. I know Paul George had a couple stints that he was out a little bit, but Paul George has a great season. Tyrese Maxey, that's kind of where I'm putting a Jaylen Brown or a Tyrese Halliburton in, just because terrific first half of the season, Chris. That second half was not as good.
I think maybe you're going to see where the importance of that in-season tournament can come into play. There was a lot of nationally televised games at the beginning of that season during that tournament where we saw some of Halliburton's best work, right? We saw some of Anthony Davis and LeBron James's best work. That was early in the year, in-season tournament. People got excited. They saw those guys play. That stays with you the whole season.
Shout out to DeMar DeRozan getting one third place vote. Bam Adebayo, my boy, getting about 7 points worth of votes. Paolo Banchero was on there. Zion got some votes. Victor got some votes. All in all, really good.
Hey, I'm glad you brought up Victor. Jimmy, can I go there for just a second?
Let's go.
Like,
yeah.
Can we slow down on Victor, please? Can we
think
slow
we can,
down?
dude.
But I see. I don't want to be a hater. I want to be for Victor's sake here. Can we slow down? Like, we are absolutely setting the guy up to fail at this point with how freaking excited people are getting at this point, right? I'm hearing people throw out, he could be a top 10 player in the NBA when we start next year. He could be a legitimate MVP. He could be a top 5 player by the start of his 3rd season. Like, let's calm down. I believe in the guy. I was proven a little bit wrong. I thought he'd be a lanky guy from a foreign country who just wouldn't be able to find his way here. We've seen that before, right? Of somebody that comes over awfully tall, little skinny, not really able to make it. He doesn't seem to have it. He seems to have that fire, but can we just please slow down and let the kid play before we put all this pressure upon him? The team was terrible this year. They'll probably be terrible again next year.
This kid is living in San Antonio. Can we get this boy a brisket? Get some meat on his bones, all right?
Get him some brisket. You have to slow down a little bit, because if he doesn't have the team around him, it doesn't really matter how good he is. They're not going to be anything. I know that people say, well, LeBron did this and Kobe might have done that with some bad teams, but really they need to get some players around him to help him out with that.
Kobe rode the bench when he first came into the NBA. That's not an apt description. LeBron's the only one that has really came in straight from being an amateur high schooler kind of into the NBA to make a mark like Victor has. So you're talking about once in a generational type talent. We don't know if he's that yet. I mean, he didn't help San Antonio. He didn't get San Antonio to the playoffs, and I'm pretty sure LeBron did with Cleveland and that sorry team.
See, Jimmy, you need to calm down. You and Kevin O'Connor, all right? He's somebody I'm talking about right now. He really needs to calm down, and I think that's just because Wembanyama agreed to do that interview with him. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Oh, well, that too. Yeah. No, it's more the defense than the interview. Yeah. Hey, for those of you watching and listening now, we do this once a week. We do Fast Break. We do Balls and Brew. Usually we talk some football as well. We talk some gambling during the football season. That's a lot of fun. We're going to be talking a lot of NFL coming up soon. We've got NBA all the time, but also we have our wrestling show, the Yeah We Know podcast, In the Ring with Jimmy, Rod, and Chris, which is going to be coming up. Right now we're going to talk about that here in a second. For those of you who have not watched wrestling in a while, come on back. We've got me, Watch Wrestling Forever. Rod's been back for a few years. Chris, after he got his antenna fixed, and not the satellite, no, antenna fixed, we figured in the black and white TV turned to color. He's been watching for a little while, so he got kind of a perspective from all three generations of long time, kind of a decent amount of time, and brand new to wrestling. And we will definitely talk about the Yeah We Know podcast after Chris takes us home for Balls and Brew.
Goodbye, Internet.
Welcome to the Yeah We Know podcast, part of the Morgan Knows Podcasting Network. You're in the ring with Jimmy, Rod, and Chris. Chris, give me an old man take.
We need more Kale Dixon. All right, and let me explain. Not necessarily.
Let me talk to you.
Not necessarily Kale Dixon, but give me these schlubs. All right, give me these schlubs who I don't know nor care about what happens to them in the future to get beat up by these big guys. All right, people come to these events. People go to Raw and SmackDown, and they want to see their favorite wrestler. Bring out more schlubs like Kale Dixon so more wrestlers can get 5-10 minute matches where you just see them beat down a schlub and show off their best moves and give everybody what they want. Like more Kale Dixons, please.
Fascinating that you're going that direction. I really appreciate that. That's interesting because we were there in the late 80s, early 90s, all the way up until the Attitude Era where that's all you had. That's everything you had on every show. And Rod, what did the people want when that's all we had?
They wanted stars to fight stars, and they wanted big matches, right? And my answer would be, we don't need guys like, what was his name? Kale Dixon.
Kale Dixon.
We have Berto and we have Angel, right? I mean, we have plenty of guys who absolutely never win, like are just on the roster and can lose. It's absolutely okay. Like that's just fine.
Rod, what are you hot about today?
I'll tell you what I'm hot about, and I think you gentlemen are really going to appreciate and enjoy this one. It's coming a little bit out of left field, but I'm hot at myself because there was a wrestler who I doubted, who I started to come down on a little bit, and every once in a while, you can give me one line only, and you can bring me all the way back in, and I'm, of course, talking about the megastar from Hollywood, California, L.A. Knight. All right. When he was backstage, he absolutely ripped Mello. He ripped Mello and said, "Hey, go play somewhere. I'm working." And he just head out to the ring. It was absolutely fabulous. He said, "You want to hear a reaction? I'll show you a reaction." And the crowd went crazy. And I was instantly back in on L.A. Knight. Let's go. Skyrocket him to the title. I'm back in, baby. I can't believe I ever doubted.
Chris, how excited were you when L.A. Knight took a little look at Logan Paul?
I thought that's where they were going to go towards the end of last year. I really did. Yeah. I thought Logan Paul versus LA Knight was a great U.S. title type feud. So I think that can still work. However, I mean, maybe after this weekend, Logan Paul's the grand champion, right? I mean, is that what is a possibility? He could walk out of Saudi Arabia with 2 belts or no? I can't remember now.
Yes, he can. Now he can. It is just for the whatever Cody, the world champion,
the grand champion. Did Chris just create a Saudi Arabian championship belt that somebody's winning?
Well, no, Braun Strowman has that. He's got the Rumble title from the
that's true.
The greatest Royal Rumble of all time.
What do they call you when you have 2 belts?
2 belts.
The Universal Champion. Is that what they called Roman when he had the 2 belts?
No, there's no Universal Champion anymore. Oh, for the love of Pete. All right, let's not talk about that.
There's the U.S. title and then whatever Cody has.
I guess they're right. They're both. That's right. I got no idea.
You have no clue. One thing I want to talk about before we're just going to do a quick show today. We're going to talk about the King and Queen of the Ring live from Saudi Arabia. I'm going to tell you this right now. These 1:00 noon Saturday things, while in theory a nice idea, it's just not going to happen for a lot of people watching live. One thing that did happen this week, though, is UFC and WWE's road crew kind of merged and became one. So, gentlemen, are you ready for Saturday night UFC, followed by Sunday night WWE pay-per-views moving forward in the States, Rod?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that Dana White
Yep.
basically was the one who announced all of that to us. I thought that was kind of interesting because it makes it seem as if UFC just came in and said, "Hey, boys, that's fun that your little scripted thing happens, but you're going to be on Sunday nights because we're having the real fights on Saturday." So, I mean, I stay up till about midnight every night. I'm just kind of a night owl, right? Maybe some people out there that are listeners like me, so it's not going to bother me all that much that premium live events are on Sunday nights, and then we record early enough in the week that our reactions will then be a little closer to them. So I guess maybe it works out good for us. So I'm just going to look at it selfishly, Jimmy, and say, I could care less.
Chris.
I imagine this was some sort of give and take because I imagine that WWE did want Saturdays, right? So does UFC. But you
Doesn't really
have
matter. They're owned by the same company.
you have WrestleMania, which is 2 nights. So WWE probably says we need those 2 nights no matter what. So maybe we'll go to Sunday and not put up a big stink. Maybe I don't know. I'm thinking with WrestleMania needing 2 nights for that weekend, maybe they turn another PLE into a double Saturday, Sunday night when the UFC is skipping that month or whatever may be happening. Maybe the UFC is having an event in Argentina or who knows what. I think you're going to see maybe some of that.
So again, we need to remember they're owned by the same company. So, and the company that bought WWE was UFC's parent company, right? So they already have their people in tow. They have the gimmicks they need. They have everything there. So when I say, and I'm the boss, I say, hey, you're going on Sunday. There's nothing there's no give and take. It's you're going on Sunday. I think it'll still be a Saturday, Sunday for sure. WrestleMania. There's no question about that. But it could be a Friday night UFC instead of a Friday night SmackDown. We'll see what happens there. The Hall of Fame could still go on a Friday night because that's usually somewhere else. It's very interesting to see where this is going. I know, Rod, that we're going to have a lot of these daytime Saturday PLEs moving forward. Just be ready for SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, and WrestleMania to be $100 pay-per-views in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I was going to say that's where we're headed to after that, right? Once this Peacock contract is over, Endeavor is no longer going to be like, yeah, we're cool with people just paying Peacock for whatever they pay Peacock monthly, and then the everything goes there. So they're definitely not going to do that. And $100, man, that's going to be rough. That's going to be rough. It just is. But look around, right? The NFL is doing it in their own way. You've now got to have Prime Video. You've got to have Netflix. You know what I mean? There's so many different ways you have to come up with. Just watch all the NFL games. So this is the way of the future, right? We all desperately wanted to get rid of the cable bundle because we were like, there's all these channels that we don't pay for. But little did we realize that sooner or later they were going to work us back to the cable bundle again, and probably even more expensive.
And it is with Hulu and Disney and whoever else is going to come in. And yeah, that's what's going to happen. But we have a PLE to talk about for this weekend. And let's just start at the top, mostly because there's like 3 matches that we know. But let's start at the top. Cody Rhodes versus Logan Paul for the undisputed WWE Championship. That's the belt he has. I think this is going to be a long match. I think this is going to be around the 18 to 22 minute match. And I think Cody Rhodes is going to win. And Michael Cole will not turn heel. He's not going to give the brass knucks back to Logan Paul. But I think this is going to be a really good showcase match for both of these athletes. And Cody's going to get a good win, Rod.
Yeah, Cody's not going to lose the belt in Saudi Arabia. If this was somewhere other than over in Jeddah, I might be convinced that we were going to see a quick takeaway of the belt from Cody because they just seem to really have no idea what to do with him. So you could convince me that then they'd be like, all right, since we don't really know what we want to do with him, let's not have it go sour. Let's just gain some extra heat by taking the belt off of him and putting it on Logan Paul. But because it's Saudi Arabia, I think you're right. Cody's going to win this. But I think Logan's going to pull off one of his incredible deals, right? We're going to see something, right? Because Cody's really, really good at getting walloped on, right? I don't know if Cody's good for like doing the viral moment, but he's really, really good at getting walloped on because he's an expert professional wrestler. So Logan's going to do something to Cody with this phone, with a guy dressed in a Prime suit on top of the Prime logo. Something wild's going to happen that's going to get a bunch of clicks, and then they're going to talk about it Monday night on Raw about how many clicks it got over the weekend.
Chris.
I think Rod just gave the exact take that I took when
Thank
Logan
you.
Paul won the U.S. title. I didn't think he was going to win it then. I I don't know what I don't. Okay, so I don't like Logan Paul, and I don't wish him success. But oh my word, would the world be turned upside down if he walked out of Saudi Arabia with 2 belts? Is it the anarchist in me wants that to happen, fellas? I don't know what it is. I want
Listen, what you
chaos.
say here is
Give
not
me
binding. So
chaos. Give me chaos.
it certainly would draw a rating on Monday if that happened. I will tell you that. But also Monday is Memorial Day and one of the worst days to watch anything on any television. So if you want a rating spike, that would be it. I can't see them doing that right now, which is why they're going to do it, right?
You know what? Would you be excited though, Jim? Would you really be excited? Somebody who rallied on this podcast for 2 years, almost like a preacher in a tent revival for Cody Rhodes. Would you really be that excited that he lost the belt this quickly?
Well, it's better than the alternative of them not knowing what to do with him for the next 4 or 5 months.
That's the only reason you could convince me that they give it to Logan here, because I'm with you. You always say the WWE is not great with long-term storytelling, but we've
baby
seen
faces. Babyface champions has been tough.
That's very true. And Cody's such a white meat babyface that there's just not a lot of ways you can go.
Yeah, but can you go with a possible King of the Ring versus the world champion? When Gunther faces either Randy Orton or Tama Tonga for the King of the Ring.
Please, I mean,
it's Saudi Arabia. You gotta think it's gonna be. First of all, I think it's gonna be Gunther and Randy Orton. Chris, you agree? Yeah, Rod.
If it's not Orton versus Gunther, should there be riots? Right? I mean, that would be completely wrong.
Go that far? I mean,
but it'd be wrong.
It's a PLE at noon.
They put in Lyra Valkyria in the final, so I mean, why not put in Tama Tonga Vailoa? I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Gunther wins the King of the Ring. Thoughts?
That's fine. Okay. But I don't care. That's my thing. I don't care that Gunther's the king, right? I mean, like, he's gonna look great coming down in the crown for a couple of weeks, but then they're gonna pitch it aside and get rid of it, and it's not gonna mean anything. So, like, okay, cool. You figured out a story to tell with Gunther for a little while after you took the Intercontinental belt off of him. But like, I don't care about King of the Ring. And the minute that they put Lyra Valkyria in there on the women and just absolutely cheapened it up for me. So let Tonga Vailoa in there and let's just continue to tell yet another bloodline story.
So Chris, would it make you care about King of the Ring, unlike Rod, if it was Gunther wins and then Raw says I'm challenging Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam?
I think if you win King of the Ring, you should be able to challenge whatever champion you want. It doesn't have to be Cody and whatever belt. However, this is what I'm going to say. I want to see Orton versus Gunther. And I'm not sure who. Awesome. I don't know who I would want to win. Like, part of me wants to still see this. Like, I haven't ever seen Orton, the Legend Killer. When am I going to see that? Is that coming? Let me see that Randy Orton, the Legend Killer. If I'm not going to see that, I need to see Gunther put him away to solidify his greatness, even though he just lost his Intercontinental title belt.
All right, I'm going to talk about an AEW superstar here, but the only reason I'm going to talk about an AEW superstar is because he's a WWE legend. All right, and Adam Copeland.
Wow, oh, man, yeah, I agree, Rod.
No. I'm sorry, AKA Edge, talked about this recently, right? He talked about when he was trying to get the Judgment Day started in his end days at the WWE, he just couldn't get over as a heel anymore because he was just too over. Everybody loved him too much. There was too much history. They loved seeing him back. And that's where we are with Orton. Chris, I would love nothing more than for the Randy Orton who punts people in the face like a NFL punter to come back, right? But I just don't think fans are going to buy that. He's just too over. Everybody loves Orton, so I just don't think we could see heel Orton. Jimmy, am I wrong?
I think we need to see heel Orton because we need to have a direction for him. So I could see that happening for sure. A heel Orton versus Cody Rhodes. I love it. I love it a lot. I think that would be a really good matchup. It does bring to question, though, if Gunther loses, does Gunther just go off then and just destroy everybody? And then that leads to a match maybe at SummerSlam or Survivor Series or something like that. That could happen. In a match I will go to Rod second for, because he does not care at all, Lyra Valkyria versus Nia Jax or Bianca Belair. Chris, who you got winning that Jax Belair match, and who you got winning the Queen of the Ring?
I mean, all signs point to Nia Jax winning both, right?
I guess.
I mean, everything you gentlemen have taught me over the last couple of years says for me to expect this to happen, because you have to continue this feud apparently between Nia Jax and Becky Lynch, right? And what better way to continue that if Nia gets Queen of the Ring and then challenges Becky?
How dare you assume that Becky's winning the match against the next match we're going to talk about, Liv. Rod, I know you don't really care too much about Lyra, but that was a pretty cool move she put Io in, right?
No, man, she's a fine wrestler, but like if you want me to believe that the king and queen of the ring is elevated, which I would agree with you, we clearly are trying to do this year. It's hard for me to then think that someone you're just skyrocketing after being drafted weeks ago is already into the finals, right? Like that's just tough for me to take. It's tough for me to take when we had Stratton and we had Cargill and we have so many other people mixed up right in that area that she came out of. It's just hard for me to believe. So at this point, yeah, fine, absolutely. Have Nia Jax squash Bianca and then have Nia Jax squash this chick, because they've botched anything that I would have cared about coming out of this Queen of the Ring bracket.
Would you have felt better if Io Sky won that match and it was just a competitive match?
Yes, okay. Because basically that's what we did with Melo, right? So like, yeah. I don't understand why we need this. I gotta admit, I'm gonna pull a Chris here. I don't know much about her. I didn't see her enough on NXT. I only dabble in NXT, and she just never happened to be a match that I happened to catch when I would flip it on. So I just don't know why I'm supposed to like her more than people we've tried to spend time in a Liv Morgan or anyone else who's been in that. Like, why should I care about her even more than Shayna Baszler, somebody that I give a bunch of crap to, right? Or Zoe Stark. Like, I just don't know why she deserved the rocket ship that she got all the way to the finals here.
I think it's just trying to make new stars. I mean, while you said Shayna Baszler, you said Liv Morgan, and they're at a certain level, but do you see them going up another level? Do you see Zoe Stark going up 2 more levels than what she's at? Maybe they have a shot here with Lyra to move up a little bit, for her to go and for her to eventually face, a Bailey or someone like that moving forward. That's kind of, I think, what they're going for. Becky and Liv. It's interesting. I'm not as excited about this as I'd like to be. I think they had a pretty cool interaction at the press conference the other day, but I think it's going to be a hard hitting match. I don't see this going very far. Chris, who you got, Becky or Liv?
I like both Becky and Liv Morgan.
Okay. Double win.
Yeah, I wish it could be, but I think Becky keeps the belt. I think if my prediction of Logan walking out with 2 belts is going to happen, everybody else has to keep the belt.
Okay. Rod, real quick. I'm sorry. I forgot. I think neither of us picked the winner of the Queen of the Ring. I think it is Nia. I think Nia's going to win. Yeah. Okay. And then who you got, your namesake or Becky?
I got Liv here. Liv here. I think a belt is going to change hands, and I think it's Liv Morgan's time. I think that Becky was just kind of like, as weird as it sounds, I think Becky was a great transitional champion, right? You were rocked that Rhea Ripley had to give the belt up. It kind of came out of nowhere on anybody. It made a lot more sense for somebody like Becky Lynch to have it, even though it was a ridiculous battle royal. It was a ridiculous battle royal, but it made more sense for somebody like Becky Lynch to have it. She stabilized it for a little bit. Now let's put it on Liv and let's start telling some story.
I got one thing to add here.
Okay.
And it's more of a complaint, I guess. Rhea has this injury. You have Queen of the Ring coming up. It's the perfect opportunity to make Queen of the Ring really mean something, as like, not only are you Queen of the Ring, you're getting this belt to go with it. I mean, how could they have missed this opportunity?
Chris, I wouldn't have said it like that, but you took the words right out of my mouth. I agree completely. That's why I think Liv has to win the belt before Rhea comes back, but like right before she comes back. And she's still going to be out for a while, right? So I
But
think,
doesn't it, like, if Liv kind of gets to dominate through a little bit, though, you know what I
could.
mean? Like Becky just signed her contract, right? Like, didn't that just happen? Didn't she
I think
just
so.
re-up?
Well, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
One of the largest contracts ever signed by a female wrestler. Congratulations, Becky Lynch. And we know that her husband is out for a little while, right? So let's give Becky a little bit of time off, right? Let's just have Becky go be off for a little while, right? We can bring her back, cook something up for SummerSlam, and let Liv run with the belt a little bit, right? So then,
Okay.
then she's even higher by the time Rhea comes back, because we all know that we're definitely getting that match when Rhea comes back. But let's let Liv cook till Rhea comes back. What's wrong with that?
Let Liv cook. I like to hear that. We have a triple threat for the Intercontinental Championship. We have Sami Zayn, our champion, Chad Gable, our Chad Gable, and Bronson Reed, the meaty meat man, if you will. I think this is going to be a fun match. This is going to be fun. This is going to be a longer match. And I see you say a belt's going to change hands. This might be a Chad Gable situation where Bronson Reed destroys Sami Zayn with something off the top rope. Gable, quick drop kick, pins Sami. I could see it happening, so why the heck not? Again, we're not playing for money. I've got Chad Gable walking out, the Intercontinental Champion, Rod.
I love that. I love Chad Gable. I even kind of like the angry, I'm a bad guy, Chad Gable, right? I like that fans are getting behind Otis. That's exciting. That we're gonna get a little bit of an Otis run for a while. That's cool.
Free Otis.
Exactly. Free Otis. That was a great sign. Otis. Wait till Otis sees us. He loves us. Now it's a whole different thing. That's Animal House. But no, I if anybody wins this belt not named Sami Zayn, I'd rather see it be Bronson Reed, to be honest with you, right?
Wow.
Because then we can keep telling the Sami Chad story with like, you guys were so into each other, and your hatred blinded you to the fact that Bronson Reed then just tsunami'd both of you and walked out of there with the belt, right? Like, I'd rather see it go down that way. So, but I'm gonna say Sami Zayn retains because I already said that Liv's walking out with the belt.
But what if then Sami Zayn hits a hell of a kick, or Helluva kick, if you will, on Bronson Reed, and then Gable kicks him out and gets the win then? So maybe Sami doesn't get pinned. Gable gets the championship by beating Reed. I don't think that's going to happen, but something to think about, though.
Certainly, that would definitely gin up a little bit of heat too, because I don't think we're through with the Sami Chad feud, because Gable is such a phenomenal wrestler and so is Sami. So I mean, I just think that like we can build those guys to having them pay off for us at a PLE when they need another nice match.
All right. Well, with that, you have been listening to the Yeah We Know podcast, part of the More You Knows Podcasting Network. You're in the ring with Jimmy, Rod, and Chris.
That's right. Got a little bit of a mashup for you here. We had Balls and Brew, Fast Break. Yeah, we know. It's all here for you in the same feed, though. All right. Follow along. Give us a like. Give us a comment. That helps the show. That helps, quite frankly, us. We feel better about ourselves knowing that there's people out there that enjoy what we do. And as Jimmy mentioned at the top, those of you still with us, we try to do this once a week, sometimes Tuesday, sometimes Thursday. We appreciate anybody tuning in. Check things out.
Goodbye, net.
Yeah.